Okay, this one's gonna come from the heart. Yesterday I sat down and recorded a video playing a brand new video game that released earlier this week called Rugby League Team Manager 4. I love sports management games. I've played Football Manager for over a decade. They immerse you with the behind the scenes aspects of running a club, and they help you immerse yourself in the sport on a very in-depth level. I mean, I've only sat down and actually watched maybe 3 Premier League games in the last decade, but I could name almost every player in the league, and I really care about what's happening in the league because I play Football Manager. Unfortunately for me though, Rugby League Team Manager 4 was just really disappointing. The menus were often overwhelming, the 3D graphics themselves were just really tough to watch, and it even featured things like transfer budgets and cup tournaments that simply just don't exist in the NRL. During the video, I was really trying hard to be positive, because I wanted the game to be good. Today, I am Namibian. I wanted to be able to showcase a fun rugby league game to you guys, but I just couldn't. Not even Sharks halfback Noah Highness or Knights fullback Kai Pongo could make me smile about the game I was playing. So in the end, I just scrapped the whole video because of how negative it became. Now to be clear, I'm not criticizing the game developers. They're a tiny team of guys who probably did a really good job given the resources and budget available to them. And at least they actually had the initiative to make a game. But unfortunately, that doesn't change the reality that the game itself just isn't very good. And it also doesn't change the fact that I'm growing massively frustrated with rugby league games in general. 2025 will mark 8 years since Rugby League Live 4 came out, and there has been no major NRL video game since. For reference, when Rugby League Live 4 was released, I looked like that. Seriously, in the time it's taken to get from that to this, we are no closer to another Rugby League video game. Rugby League Live 2 came out in 2012. 3 came out in 2015, and 4 came out in 2017. But since then, nothing. And with every passing year, we miss out on more and more of the benefits that a decent rugby league video game would bring to our sport. So dear NRL, give us a video game. Let me tell you a story. Back when I was 13 years old, I had a little bit of pocket money, so I went to a game shop to see what I could afford to buy. The game I landed on was NBA 2K17. Now, at the time, I had no interest in basketball. I didn't even know the rules beyond get the ball into the basket. But I saw it as a great way to learn about the sport while having fun. And to be completely honest, I just thought this cover art was really cool. Now I did get reasonably into the game, playing it every now and then, and as a result, I'd watch the occasional NBA highlights package when I'd come across them. But fast forward to this year, and with a little more time on my hands, I decided to pick it up again, and I've become absolutely obsessed with it. I could now comfortably name every team in the NBA, as well as a number of past and present players. I followed and engaged with the league itself on social media. It's led to me watching Netflix's The Last Dance docuseries about Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls, as well as Starting 5, another NBA docuseries that only came out a couple of months ago. Knowing myself, I can confidently say that none of that would have happened if I hadn't seen NBA 2K17's cool cover art when I was 13. That game, now nearly a decade old, has turned me into a fan. That's what a decent quality sports video game can do. It advertises and grows a sport, particularly among that crucial demographic of younger fans. Kids who would talk about the video game at school, or who would play it when they have a friend come over to their house, and just generally be really excited about a rugby league related activity. Not to mention that in the years since Rugby League Live 4 came out, the percentage of video game players in Australia who are women has jumped up massively, to the point where it's now essentially an even split between men and women. Rugby League Live 4 released a year before the NRLW, so with the NRL desperately wanting to attract female fans, a rugby league game with the NRLW in it could be really effective. It literally serves as a marketing strategy. Only that instead of seeing a billboard or a massive painted mural like this one I saw in Sydney earlier this year, you walk into a shopping centre and see these lining the shelves. And unlike a billboard or a mural, people will pay you $50 to $60 to take one of these. That's the dream. That's what we could have. But now let's take a step back and compare that to what we actually have in reality. When Rugby League Team Manager 4 was announced, I saw someone on Reddit say, "Saddest part is, they could legit develop Rugby League Live 5 for 10 more years and odds are Rugby 08 will still be a better experience. I've been emulating and just made the entire Roosters squad to replace the Waratahs. it's still hands down the superior experience for egg-shaped ball goes backwards video games. And that's not just one guy saying that. That comment had 40 upvotes. The existing rugby league games are so bad that there are people who would instead rather go back and play a 16-year-old game that is in literally a different sport to us. The problem is that we're stuck in this constant cycle. A small studio makes a pretty bad rugby league video game. Because it's bad, sales numbers are low. This means that the market for rugby league video games is seen to be small, so the major game developers lose interest. So only small studios remain, who don't have the funding or expertise to make a decent quality game. So they make a pretty bad quality rugby league video game. We've been stuck in that cycle for ages, and we need something to break it. And fundamentally, that's what this video is about. A call to the NRL to step in and fund something that can break that cycle. Now, I won't pretend to have a better business understanding of this than the analysts within the NRL, but I do know some things. Firstly, the most recent public records available show that the NRL had an operating surplus of nearly $60 million in 2023. Given the higher crowds and TV ratings this year, I'm expecting those numbers to be even higher for 2024. To pair with that, while specific data is really hard to find, estimates suggest that Rugby League Live 4 sold between 20,000 and 50,000 copies, and that was nothing more than a decent game less than 2 years after the last one. With the sport currently more popular than it's ever been, nearly a decade since our last game, imagine the sales a decent quality video game would do. And while business analysts look at the cost to make a game and compare it to the revenue generated by selling it, do you think they're accounting for stories like me and NBA 2K17? The fact that the game will create fans who then give money to the NRL in other ways? Or just generally the massive amount of goodwill that the game would generate from fans who are sick of emulating the Sydney Roosters in Rugby 08? Because while perhaps those things wouldn't occur to us on face value, they are relevant considerations. But I will say, all hope is not lost. The studio that held the NRL's licensing rights lost them a few months ago, and emails have been circulating social media since then with people claiming that a game is in development, with an announcement due in the coming months. On a surface level, that is exciting, but those who pay attention to this sort of thing would know that rumors like that do come up every now and then, inevitably falling through at the end for one reason or another. But nonetheless, I will cross my fingers and hope, because look, I just think that it's time. Time to give our sport a seat at the table of modern digital entertainment, and to stop missing out on all the benefits that that could bring. And I know I sound like some petulant young kid who doesn't understand the business side of the world, but there is one thing I do have that those businessmen don't, and that is a lived experience of the influence that a game like this can have on a person. So please, NRL, give us a game to play.